back if you're just joining us. This is Firecrackers, and we are going to be starting with effects of ASUU strike on students and the education sector. So, Prof, this one thing struck me now because you are the Vice Chancellor of Global Wealth University of Togo. So first, why not Nigeria? You're Nigerian. Why don't you have the school in Nigeria? Why is it in Togo?
Yeah. One, we have school in Nigeria.
Okay.
First, yeah. I'm the president of JPTS Institute in Nigeria, and but we have a focus to globalize education. So apart from Togo, we have school in Ghana, we have in California, but one of the very interesting thing you may know is that setting up a school like our institution outside of Nigeria is far more easier not because of reduction in standard, because of the elimination of so much of the bureaucratic bottlenecks that we have here. You know, to set up a university in Nigeria take you so much. It's more of a political will than just meeting up the requirements. So for us, it's quicker, it's better, and again, the standard of education out there in countries like other countries, you know, is far more operational than what we have here in Nigeria. We end up chalking out a better formed student. That doesn't mean that the Nigerian school are totally bad. No, you know, we are just talking about regulation here. We're talking about the encouragement that are needed to put education in proper perspective.
Would you say part of the challenges you would face in Nigeria is also ASUU is also part of it?
ASUU is for government university. Doesn't really have any issue with the private. But of course, there is also a linked effect whenever ASUU is on strike to even private universities, because it's all about the country development here we're talking about. And part of the problem, which of course that has made us to focus more out of Nigeria, is because running education in other countries smoother, is easier, and it's better than what we have here. And I believe with what we are seeing with the agitation, with the ASUU, which of course have been going on since 2009 and even before then, and so many of their demands, I believe if those things are properly looked into, education would greatly improve in Nigeria.
But the federal government is owing ASUU like 1 trillion naira now. How soon is it happening that they are going to pay back?
You know, I am one of the I don't want to say few, many persons who advocate that public servants in Nigeria should also patronize Nigeria education. Reason because that would make public servants who look at it like a tussle between staff union in the university and those who are supposed to make laws, make sure that they also go by what they've agreed, you know, and so if we try to, I think initially the government of this dispensation was looking at that direction, but after some time it didn't happen, that public office holder should be mandated to have their children schooled in Nigeria, to patronize Nigeria in health, in business, in that way. I have children, my children are in my school. I have invested greatly, not just in university, in secondary, in secondary, but my children are all in my school. In that way, I'm going to give focus to ensuring that the educational system is improved. Okay, we'll talk about the amount, which I don't want to talk about. What is the amount made for? It's for the improvement of the Nigerian education. Have you been to many of the universities in Nigeria? There's no laboratory, they don't have practical equipment, and we all complain that Nigerians, we've heard statements that people have made that Nigerian youths are not employable. Why are they not employable? It's not that they made themselves not employable. They are all product of the system that has made them what you have said they are, which of course I do not believe. So what the demand that's largely, apart from some other issues, largely is that education is underfunded. We have 776 billion naira allocated to education in the last budget. That alone is not up to about 5.6% of the budget, less than the 10% benchmark that is said that at least in every budget we should have not less than 10% budgeted to education. Because education itself is number one priority of human being. If your people are not educated, you end up producing valueless leaders. If your people are not educated, it means that you are jeopardizing the future of that country. So I think there should be priority, and the only way we can give priority to education is that lawmakers, public office holders should also be part of the system.
Okay, but I think arguably we can say that one of the things we still enjoy a little bit in Nigeria is education. Even if fantastic road is not there, fantastic infrastructure is not there, but some people will still argue to say that the education sector in Nigeria is still one of the things that if you would give grade of A to F, you could still give education in Nigeria D. Do you agree with that rating?
No, it's not just education, it's the quality of education is not just sitting in a class and at the end of the day graduating. Education by itself is meant to transform a being to becoming an expected person, which is meant to solve a global or a local problem. So when you studied English, what you are trying to do, you are trying to improve in the communication skill of that person. When you studied mathematics, what you are trying to do is you are trying to ensure that the medulla oblongata, the brain of the personality, is improved so that whenever that person is confronted with any problem, he should be able to resolve it very fast. It means, so that's what come out. Every subject that you take in school is meant to affect part of your brain. It's meant to make you a better person. So now, at the end of the day, when Nigerians go through that system, do they come out becoming that which is expected? So when you say they enjoy, I'm more concerned about the kind of quality of what they enjoy. You know, you can say anybody can cook food and they just give rice and beans and say, oh, we are eating. If food is not food, food is very from food. So the kind of we still have issues with our standard of education. That is it. And until we start fixing it, you know, then I can agree with you to say that Nigeria is enjoying the education. Yeah.
So who do we blame for low standard of education in Nigeria? Because it seems our teachers in schools, the way we are taught is to just pass exams, rather than they concerned about we really understanding what is in the subject. For example, now if I were to take economics in Nigeria, any secondary school student should be able to grasp what is going on in Nigeria right now, because basically it's what we were taught in economics in secondary school. But you will still see secondary school students still clueless about what is going on in the economy, and that is despite the fact that they are being taught economics in school. So is it the teachers we blame now or the system? Because I believe if you are being taught inflation, you are being taught gross domestic product, you are being taught all these topics, it's something you should know, but at the end of the day, you see students, they will write it in their exam, they will pass, but when it's time to relate it to reality, it's nothing. Who do we blame for that?
Okay, now, let me quickly say this. There are systems of learning, and Nigeria must begin to know that the system of learning must change because our lifestyle have changed. What every human being focused on is not the same as what we focused on 20 years ago. You now see that teachers who are teaching you are teaching you the same curriculum they were taught when they were students. This curriculum should have changed. The learning system also should have changed. One, we're going to blame more the system, the regulators, those that ensure that curriculum has been set. Number one, we're going to blame them because they are the one understanding the educational system to ensure that they put in place proper system to affect learning. Because if that system is not put in place, then we cannot affect learning. Now let's look at the students themselves. Students are largely distracted by social media. So education must also go to social media. You must take it to where they are. That is where digital learning is, we are talking about. The ASUU strike by itself wouldn't have happened if Nigeria by itself have adjusted its system of learning to modern system of learning. No school over the world. We have schools in California and other places. We understand greatly. Why would you have millions of people at home doing nothing? They are supposed to be learning. Even if they are not in the four walls of the class, they should be learning digitally now. See, so COVID wanted schools to push. COVID pushed a lot of schools, and many schools were not government, now COVID. Many schools were trying to now go through the digital learning system, but believe many of them have gone back to the brick system of learning, which is not helpful. So now the human being may not grab, like you spoke about economics, about demand and supply, may not grab because their focus now is not in bricks and mortar. Their focus now is in the digital world. Even in class, you see students holding their phone, checking on their Facebook. Why can't you take learning to that place they are going to? Yes, because their attention has been distracted. So those that reform education, those who propagate laws, who build the system, should build a system that will psychologically aid learning. Okay.
So from what you're saying now, I'm trying to civilly infer that you're trying to say education is a two-way thing. from the government, the teachers, also the students who are learning. Because I could imagine being on the phone and going to Facebook to search something for education. That would probably be the last thing I would do. Probably I'll go there for news, because at least that's the line of work I'm in, or probably just go there for leisure, for pleasure. So even though a student is holding a phone right now, what are the chances that they would even use it for education? Because I believe Facebook too, as people upload educational content on Facebook, but then the rating they get, or the people who visit the page, is relatively lower than the patronage of people who broadcastings of entertainment get.
Okay, well, no, I understand what you're saying. When I said social media, I mean your phone, for example. So if it is made mandatory that there is a class online and students must engage in the class by 2 p.m., you know, and it's on their phone. So 2 p.m. they know, okay, I'm not going on Facebook now, I'm going to class. So they don't necessarily need to walk to class, they engage class. I know many schools, private universities are already imbibing it, but what I'm saying is there's need for deliberate effort, especially from the government. There's need for government to show a good body language to aiding digital learning. And if that happens, the cost of running education by itself will go down. And this enormous amount of money that government says is too much, we cannot pay, by itself it will start dwindling. Because as we go on, if we don't change the system of learning, this cost will keep increasing. And that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be infrastructure for learning. There should be, but there's also need to also look at education the way it ought to be done.
Okay, so now let us talk about ASUU strike now, with the education sector just barely recovering from COVID-19, and then students are out of school again. You go to schools, they are empty. Well, that is for schools under ASUU now. So how will this impact education? Now that some people have linked insecurity to joblessness, youth being out of school, or being out of school and having no employment. But now these ones are in school, but now they are out of school because of the strike. What could possibly be the effect this could have on them?
It's enormous, and one of the issues we are going to have is high rate of insecurity, because, and I do mine, is the devil's workshop. And you know, when you talk about schools under ASUU, schools who are not under ASUU, the government-owned school, both state, federal, comprise of close to 98% of students in the tertiary institution. So it's like virtually all of them. So it's having millions of people at home doing nothing. One, it's going to add to the burden of parents, number one. Two, it's going to security challenges there. Two, three, you are also creating a lacuna in knowledge industry. These persons are supposed to be in school learning. They are home, and many of them, while they are home, they might want to engage in other things that is not in line with education. Going back to school, so cost of resettling is another. Cost of going home, they have to transport. You might just think that those things are little things, it doesn't really count. Let me give an example. In the US, when COVID struck and when it was time to reopen the economy, those who own business were giving money, like what's it called, an allowance by the government to buy little things like the COVID equipment, hand washing bay, and because because for you to comply to COVID regulation, it's going to cost you a little more. You can see that is a sensitive one. And imagine students now going back home. Some of them might need to take transport. The usage of the road by itself, going back home, coming back to school, it's to some parents. Some might not even have that fee. Some students are hanging, and they say, let's wait for 1 month or 2. We've all experienced this, and it's huge. So the security challenge is one, and then number two is the rate of idleness and the impact of the future on these ones. Because we talk about our leadership structure now. Why is it that many of the leaders today who claim to value education is not giving priority to this? Because they see it as a normal thing. It has become a psychic, we've accepted it. That is a normal system. It's not a normal system. Tertiary strike, for what I know, is not a normal thing, and it's not happening even in West African countries. I've not seen it's an archaic, it's a medieval problem that is no more happening. But for Nigeria, we have accepted it. So that is a major issue.
And that is to talk about the giants of Africa now.
We are no more the giants of Africa. Yes, we are no more the giant of Africa. No, we need to see. For you to solve a problem, you have to identify the problem. Yes, you will say we are the giant if you have not traveled to other African countries. So let's talk about power. We still solve our power problem. Countries in West Africa, they've conquered power problem in the last 20 years. We are still solving for me. The only strength we have, which is one is the people of Nigeria. One, the Nigerian people, despite the fact that we are going through this hardship, they are smart people, they are strong, they are resilient people, and the numbers we have, you get. So if we can get leadership, if we can get it right in leadership, I think we can now be thinking. But we are not the largest economy in Africa. We have people, we have very inconsistent policies for business. So you see, even investors are not, we don't need to go there. If we need to start talking about a lot of things happening, how other African countries have catching into our inconsistency in policies that have affected investors, you begin to see that Nigeria needs to wake up and stop claiming an imaginary giant of Africa.
We've been overthrown right now. That's what you're going for.
Yes.
So if you were to be in the position of power, how would you solve this ASUU crisis?
It's simple. I am a VC of a university, so I value education so much. So we're going to solve it by ensuring that all that is needed to make Nigeria education the largest and the best education. We don't even have educational tourism in Nigeria. Have you gone to any university and you see students from Russia, students from, I'm mentioning Russia, so you might, students from Germany are coming to Nigeria to study? We don't even have. Most of our, for example, let's talk about Ghana. I made a research. I thought Ghana economy, Ghana is being enriched to a tone of about 150 billion yearly naira from Nigerian students, Nigerians migrating to study in Ghana.
Wow.
You can say that is almost about 1/4 of our national budget on education. You can imagine what can happen if Nigeria can put this 1 trillion we're talking about, we can make it back in Nigeria if we put our house in order. I'm telling you. So we should look at it. In all West African countries, I'm telling you, I'm giving you valid information. Most of West African countries universities rely on Nigerians to sustain the educational system over there. And some of them are even be happy when issues like this is happening, because it's also promoting my Nigeria exiting to study over there. Look at UK, we have so many Nigerians studying. Look at in the US, there are thousands. Even in Ukraine, large numbers of Nigerians who are stuck as students. We have over 4,000 students in Ukraine. So how many of us would have imagined that there are so many Nigerians there? 80% of Nigerians in Ukraine are students studying. All over the world, in Russia, we have Nigerians migrating. Why? Because of our lacuna, of our deficiency in education system. So what I'm going to do is to ensure that everything is put in place so that Nigeria can start attracting foreigners to study in Nigeria. Yeah.
So what are the things we need to put in place? I think we need to really emphasize that.
Yeah, number one is to change our curriculum. We need to ensure that we have curriculum that meet up global best practices. Many of our curriculum are dated. We are going to work on. Number two, infrastructure. To ensure that our classes, our laboratories, our workshops meet up to date standard. Number three is inclusions of courses that are needed globally. How many universities in Nigeria are studying digital technology? How many universities do we have studying AI, robotics engineering? Courses that are needed, 21st century courses. We don't even have, because we lack that man capacity to do that. Number four, we are going to engage in lecturers retraining and training again. Many of our lecturers need to be retrained to know, because many of them, it might be difficult if we introduce a new curriculum that is not known to someone who will lecture it. So we are going to be engaging in serious manpower capacity in the educational sector all over again. We will re-engineer the educational sector. And again, we would also encourage, what's it called, intercultural transfer. We have a lot. I don't need to start, because since I am also, I don't need to just start unveiling all plans that will be, but as an academia, we know what to do to revamp and make Nigerian educational system the best all over the world.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So now, students that are at home, what word of encouragement would you give them? What is the best way they can engage themselves now so they don't become the devil's workshop?
Yeah, one of the things I would tell them is this. At the end of the day, the degree that you clamor for to get is actually not what would open those great doors for you. It's what you have in you. It's those skills, those talents, it's discovering what you have. Many of us who today, we're excelling in different fields. We are not excelling because we studied in Nigeria. No. We are excelling because of those personal efforts, those personal things we have done. So if you rely on Nigerian education to excel in life, you might not excel. So you need to do so. See yourself, see it as yes, you are at home, but use this time to learn a skill. Use this time to earn a professional certification. Use this time to build yourself in that skills. You might be surprised. That skills might eventually become what will prepare you to greatness.
Okay, yes, that's true. And even, this even brings to mind now, because one of the things we have that is very common in Nigerian universities is you applying for a course, you would meet the criteria, but then you'll be given another course. That is like realigning what you want, your own talents. For example, a man that wants to become a medical doctor who went to school, and then you are giving something like Christian religious study. Okay, that's even far-fetched. Let me even use something as physiology, although it is still relating to medicine, but it's not what that person applied for. What advice would you give to people like that? Is it to change schools, or to reapply again, or just go on with the course you've been given?
Well, I don't know, because that has to do with a lot of counseling. Okay, every school have a quota system on number of students to admit per course. Most times when that quota have been met, so they still have some courses left, and some schools can actually, and you meet, that's why you have a school counselor that counsel you and tell you this. Usually, even we have people who have read the course they wanted to read. If at the end of the day they still do not use it. You see, yes, we might have a wish to say, I want to study mechanical engineering, and at the end of the day you are given animal science. You see, and you say, why am I giving animal science? So you have to look at it. Is the course a course that you would love to do? Number one. Is it economically viable? Number two. Is it internationally viable? Number three. And if it is something you can go for, because you are the one that will bring out the best in what you study. The course by itself may not give you the best. So even if you study the best course and you don't know it, you don't like it, you might be marginalized.
Yes, that's true.
So my advice is, even if you are in that situation whereby you are given a course that is not the course you applied for, you don't just opt out. Still look at it. One, is the course economically viable? Would you like to go for it? And three, is it internationally viable too? Is there a need for it? And if it is, then you can weigh your option and go for it.
Okay, I would have loved to mention some courses, but that might be offensive to people who study those courses, because these are courses you know that in Nigeria you can't use it to work anywhere. Basically, you can't use it to work anywhere. Maybe the chances of you using that certificate to work is if you travel out of the country. And to travel out of the country is even a lot of money, and that is even depending on if the country wants to accept you. So if you are giving courses like that they are not economically useful for you or Nigeria as a country, would you say you should try again, or you should just go along with it?
No. When you say a course is not economically viable, I talked about employment. But Nigerian school needs to start looking at building students. Like, one of the things we're going to do is to ensure that Nigerian students are not taught to look for job. They should be trained in a way to become job creators. They should be, So there are courses like animal science, courses like food technology, that if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, do you know how much an animal scientist will make in this era? How many animal scientists do we have? How many veterinary medicine do we have? We have very few of them. If you know it and you know your onions, you could even make more money than a medical doctor. It depends, So we have some soil scientists. Soil scientists, you might say soil science. What kind of course is this? Soil scientists are part of explorationists. They can, if you know it and you know what you know. So one of the things is this.
Even geology?
Yes, even geology. So one of the things is, one, students must start having an entrepreneurial mindset. There are opportunities in every course. Yes, you can start on your own. You can become a consultant to small firms, to large firms, and then before you know it, you are there. There is no course that is useless. Yes, the opportunities in various courses might differ. For example, look at nurse for a course, studying nurse. You would say that, nurse is needed, but in Nigeria, nurses do not make so much. But if you take your nurse license and you go to other countries, you see, yes, you might be needed, but look at what am I getting out of this profession in Nigeria compared to other countries. But now, if you think that way, but as a nurse, if you are an entrepreneur, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset as a nurse, believe me, you might even make more than a nurse that works for. It all depends.
It's still going to be in line. It's not going to be unethical.
No, it's not going to be unethical. It's not going to be unethical. If once you're a licensed nurse, just like as a licensed, once you're a licensed to, like a lawyer, once you're a licensed, you can practice. So once you're a licensed nurse, you can also practice. It's not a must that you must use your license to work for people. Yeah. You can also set up, like pharmacists, you can set up your pharmaceutical store. You know, instead you can also work for company. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And really, our best thoughts with ASUU at this moment. I hope that their request gets answered too. And people are also asking them for ceasefire. You know, let's just go back to school. Would you advise teachers or lecturers under ASUU to go back to school, despite the fact that their demands have not been met?
You know, this is largely about conflict resolution now. ASUU is on strike. I think the biggest loser of this tussle is the students themselves who are at home. And the students by themselves want to go back, they want to manage the kind of education they are. And ASUU say, no, we are not going back, we are helping you to fight. And so we are helping ourselves, because even the IPS payroll system, we don't want it. And some other personal issues they also want to be solved. And my concern is this: government has the largest decision to make in this. Government should see the ASUU, both the lecturer and the student as what is called as a mini stakeholder in this. Government has the largest chunk. So if they have to resume back to class, government should make it happen quickly by ascending to. And the money we talk about is not an amount that should be paid once. What the ASUU and some of their clauses, apart from some others, is that the government had an agreement that this money will be paid bite by bite. But even when the agreement was made, some money they were supposed to pay have not been remitted. So that is largely sincere from the part of the government. So government is also saying that ASUU is very political about the issue. There are some political iron that is pushing them to make up so as to look as if this regime is not educational friendly. And if truly they don't want that to happen, they should yield to the call of ASUU and make it work. Yeah.
But do you agree that this regime is not educationally friendly?
Would I say that if this regime is not educational? I wouldn't say that. I think this issue has been on even before this regime. The ASUU strike, ASUU have been going on strike since 1980, 1970 something in this country. So I think it's a systemic problem.
Okay, yes. All right, thank you. And of course, while we are discussing this, we should not forget about the role of constitution in all of this. Because if we want to really have change, like effective change that will really benefit the citizens, constitution must definitely be